Viewpoints on the talk station FM 107 AM 1240. We'll hopefully be joined here by Alfredo Ortiz here in just a moment, President and CEO of the Job Creators Network. And want to find out about the impact of the new Green Deal, or is it the Green New Deal? This whole issue of economics and fiscal responsibility is going to play a key role going forward because we are seeing a disrupted economy. Right now, things are moving very smoothly, as we're hearing just a moment ago from the business report that the number of jobs that were added. But there is a certain dynamic out there, and it does require fiscal accountability and fiscal responsibility. A lot of businesses are really working hard to maintain their ability to provide service, and in the process facing a variety of regulations. As we heard just a few moments ago from Larry Hart, again, of the American Conservative Union Foundation, regulations are a big issue. And this past week, we had a freshman member of the House who, according to recent news releases, quote unquote, misspoke. There seems to be a lot of misspeaking there in Washington, D.C. on the issue of the new Green Deal, or is it the Green New Deal? Well, joining us this afternoon to explain to us what the challenges are is Alfredo Ortiz, President and CEO of the Job Creators Network. And with that, Mr. Ortiz, good evening. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Lockwood, good evening. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
This is a topic that a lot of people are not really cognizant of, and they go out and they work, they apply their trades, but a lot of them are not aware of the significance of regulatory issues, and until it's too late. And I'm just wondering, the events of this past week, were they positive to the small business community or negative, in your opinion?
Yeah, thank you, Lockwood. Again, I mean, I think specifically when we're talking about the introduction of this Green New Deal and the specifics that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez laid out for us, we're calling it the Green Raw Deal because that's really what it comes down to. It's a raw deal for not only small business owners across the country, but really for America. And it really is just poised to devastate our economy if this were ever to pass, right? I mean, really making America a socialist country, frankly, at a time when our economy is just booming. I mean, under President Trump and a pro-free market policies and agenda. We know what's happening. We see the positive impact. I mean, under the Trump administration, the economy is growing at twice the rate as it did under Obama. Wages grew at 3%. Unemployment's at historic lows, a 50-year low. Even amongst, different ethnic groups and women, Hispanics, for example, blacks, African Americans, Asians, at an all-time low. And what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez laid out, it's just, if she weren't so serious about it, I mean, it's somewhat laughable, really, when you think about what's laid out. Banning all fossil fuels completely, right. Eliminating 99% of cars, eliminating all air travel. I love the senator from Hawaii who said, well, it wouldn't really be good for Hawaii, right? Because what are we going to do? How are we going to get back and forth? But get this one, Lockwood, gutting every single building in America and rebuilding it. Every single building. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. And the best of all, Lockwood, this is the one I really love. Free money for everybody.
Right.
Yes,
right.
The plan actually says that the government will provide economic security for those who are unable. And, of course, look, those who are unable, I say we got to figure out how to help out. But this is the best, unwilling to work. Yes, you can say, I don't want to work, but that's okay. We are still going to give you money.
There are a lot of questions I want to ask you this evening. Alfredo Ortiz, by the way, President and CEO of the and it's a great organization, the Job Creators Network. And before I get to my questions on some other issues, tell us a little about something about your organization, because the concept of creating jobs, I think, is, well, a novel concept. I like that. But
well, look, I'm honestly honored and blessed, Lockwood, to work for one of our greatest American dream stories in this country, Bernie Marcus, who started the Home Depot. He was actually fired at 48, was broke, and at 52 started Home Depot. He had an idea. He had a vision. He started with 2 stores in Atlanta, and he grew that to what it is today, Home Depot, 400,000 hardworking Americans. Wow. that are working for Home Depot today. It's an amazing story. And he remembered all too well what it was like to be that small business owner who had an idea, who had a vision, and wanted to make something of it. I mean, he literally came from nothing. He used to, live in the projects, hang out with gangs. I mean, it's an unbelievable story. And to now see the success and really contributing that basically all right back to society and being able to grow our economy. But at 88 years old, roughly, he's still out there, pushing, fighting the fight, right. Loves America, loves his country. And Job Creators Network was his vision, his idea to basically say, you know what, small business owners in this country need a voice. They need somebody who's going to advocate for them. Right. And that's why he started Job Creators Network. And that's really what we're doing across the country.
All right. Let's look at this, Alfredo. And again, Alfredo Ortiz with us this evening. And I'm going to give you I'm going to let him give us more details about the organization, the Job Creators Network. We're talking about socialism. We're talking about socialism in an environment where we just, before you joined us, we're playing a news story about the unprecedented number of jobs that are available, that have opened up over the past, during the month of December, and the growing economy in the U.S. Okay, great. That's the perfect environment for socialism. Maybe I'm just not counterintuitive enough to understand why is a socialist agenda even given the light of day in this environment? Or did I miss something?
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, Lockwood. Look, I mean, I like boiling it down to kind of a bumper sticker. What are we talking about here, right? In the end, the way we see it is socialism takes and capitalism creates. Right. We need to keep America free, a free capitalist country. We need to make it even stronger by, frankly, rallying around free market agenda items like lower taxes, lower regulation, improving healthcare. Not these crazy ideas. But frankly, I'm just tired that we're even spending this much time dealing with this green raw deal, because it's actually creating a smokescreen, the way I see it, Lockwood, for the real issues, which is the unfortunately the Democrats trying to basically distract the American public from the truth that a free enterprise system is working for everybody, right? To your point, we have 7 million unfilled jobs in this country. 5 million net new jobs have been created under President Trump. And you were just talking about lower regulation. I mean, lower regulations, less red tape in this country has really freed up our economy.
The thing that really fascinates me, and I talk to a group of millennials every Thursday evening, a program called The Y Factor, and what I'm trying to fathom is why they would consider this issue of more government intrusion in an environment where they have entrepreneurial opportunities, if with or without entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, they can find jobs, and yet they're willing to consider further government intrusion in their lives. I don't understand that. Now, let me ask, associated with that, because just a few moments ago we were chatting about the events here in North Carolina. We're starting our biennial session, and the budget will be established during the next 6 months randomly. I hope that's done by the end of June. By law, it should be, but they don't often meet that target date. But what about states? Are states themselves beginning to want to, gather in a socialist agenda? What's happening at the state level? Because that's important as well.
I think where we're seeing that is on the coast, right? I mean, we've seen it over the past, probably a couple of decades, and it's just getting worse and worse, frankly. I think that's why you're seeing businesses flee from California, from Connecticut. These high-tax states are just leaving the states, and that's the one thing that, frankly, folks like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez don't even stop and think about is we do have the freedom not to live in this country at one point, right? I mean, it's going to get to the point where it's so socialist. If they go down that agenda, people are just going to leave, right? I mean, and I got to bring it back to this idea where, when you look at the people who are fleeing Venezuela, who are fleeing Nicaragua, who are fleeing Mexico, right, to come to the United States, it's because they don't have a Venezuelan dream. They don't have a Nicaraguan dream. They don't have a Mexican dream. There's the American dream. That's what they're coming for. I kind of jokingly say maybe this is a solution for Democrats when it comes to the immigration issue, right? Because eventually you're going to make it so socialist, nobody's going to want to come here.
Well, or can we just offer them a one-for-one?
Oh my gosh! You know what? I had just thought about it. Let's do a citizen swap, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
How about if you love socialism so much, we'll send you over there, and we'll take all the people that love capitalism, and we'll bring them over here.
I think, hey, we should present that as an alternative. I mean, really, we'll do a 1-for-1 swap. I mean, what the heck?
Right? Why not? They love it so much. Let's send them over there, right?
Well, with this said, and it goes back to my question related to those millennials, to those youngsters out there. Alfredo Ortiz with us, by the way, CEO of the Job Creators Network. What about them? Obviously, well, I'm making a presumption here. Where are they getting this socialist agenda? Where are they getting these socialist ideas? Are they coming from? Is it coming from government? Is it coming from fear? What precipitates this?
Well, you know, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you know, first of all, I think what the Democrats have done a very good job of is actually defining socialism for what it's not.
Right.
But in the minds of millennials, their definition of socialism is that socialism equals social good.
Right.
That's how they see it, right? But we all know, those who are actually educated on this, that's not what it means, right? We have a great CEO, for example, owns a restaurant down in Miami, Florida, whose parents came, you know, she and her parents came from Nicaragua, right? Mm-hmm. And you hear her talk about her stories, and quite frankly, how insulting it is for her when she hears millennials say, "Oh, no, socialism is very good." She goes, "Oh, really? Why don't you go talk to my parents who lost everything under socialism?" Right? We literally had to flee with the clothes on our back. Right? This is really what socialism, and they're just not taught that. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that teaching, definitely, I think in our school systems,
right,
especially I think in our the liberal arts educations, the higher education systems. I mean, it's kind of funny if you think about or I should say sad. When you think about student debt, for example, I think something like $1.2 trillion now of student debt is out there.
No.
Right?
No, let me correct you on that. That is you shouldn't have picked at that scab. It is, Ortiz, that is a criminal, it's criminal. I don't know what to describe it as otherwise. $1.5 trillion. As a matter of fact, as I keep telling the audience is going to, their eyes are glazing over. Yes, Lockwood, we've heard this. You aggregate all the credit card debt in this country, and many people have more than one credit card in their wallet. You aggregate all of the credit card debt in this country, it still is below college debt. And to your point, I think in some regards, by burying these college students under this onerous debt of which they cannot escape,
right.
It justifies a socialist argument or a socialist conclusion. I think that
right.
I think it's part of a grander conspiracy, and it's something. My apologies. I'm like telling you something, but it really upsets me, and I'm sitting.
And it is really upsetting. And if I may, Lockwood, I mean, and I don't even understand why that is. Right? There's an insistence, unfortunately, from the liberals that unless you go to college, for example, and spend an enormous amount of sum of money, you're not a success in this country.
Exactly. Yeah. That canard.
And that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible.
It is such a lie. And by the way, I'm sure you've heard the story. A orthopedic surgeon had a broken air conditioner, and so he called the HVAC company to come repair it. They came and repaired it. At the end of the repair, he handed him a bill for $600, and the orthopedic surgeon looked at it and said, $600? You've only been here for 2 hours, and that's more than I make for a total hip replacement. And the HVAC repairman says, "Yeah, I didn't make that much either when I was doing your job."
I love that. I love that. I mean, but we need, again, just really quick, we need to get more of the skills training, right? For our youth of today, right? And this is such a sad, fact for our youth of today of this mounting debt. And of course, whether liberals are, we're just going to forgive all that debt. And by the way, if you look at our higher education systems, 80+% of them are liberal in terms of their leanings in their education. So it's interesting. So basically, taxpayers are now paying once those debts are forgiven, for our youth to be educated with the liberal ideas of socialism.
Right. And of course, I just will say that, I'm glad I'm talking to you today, Ortiz, because I'm sure you can afford the ability to pay off all those loans. Alfredo Ortiz with us.
No problem. I've been called worse.
President and CEO of the Job Creators Network. Alfredo, what is the website for our audience, please?
Yeah, absolutely. JobCreatorsNetwork.com. That's with a plural. So JobCreatorsNetwork.com. You can find out what we do. We appreciate any and all support. Even if it's just, sign on to our website, get our newsletter, find out what we're trying to do is we're trying to unite. We got 30 million small business owners in this country that employ 60 million hardworking Americans. That's 90 million hardworking Americans that, frankly, are the backbone of our country. We need to do more for them, and that's what Job Creators Network is all about.
Well, the other aspect of this, and again, this goes back to how government has relegated small business to the back bench, and yet it is the major driving force of our economy, is it not?
2/3 of new job growth is in the hands of small business owners.
I'm sorry, what was that number again?
Two-thirds, Lockwood, is in the hands of small business owners.
That's according to my math, which is pretty rough. About 66%?
That's correct. 2/3 of new job growth. Isn't that crazy?
Okay, it's the Job Creators Network, and that website again is JobCreatorsNetwork, again, .org?
JobCreatorsNetwork.com. That's correct. JobCreatorsNetwork.com. And I have to tell you, I just finished watching an interview with Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. She point blank says, I believe in capitalism, so maybe there is still hope.
Stay with me. I want to chat with you briefly off air, Alfredo. This has been a great interview. You're listening our pleasure. You're listening to Viewpoints here on the Talk Station FM 107 AM 1240.